Pete Hegseth thought he could embarrass a young black congresswoman on live television. What happened next left him speechless. The Fox News audience was stunned, and social media exploded as millions watched the moment. Hegseth was utterly humiliated. In just 12 words, Jasmine Crockett delivered the most devastating comeback in political television history, and it was about to change everything. Before we dive into this unforgettable showdown, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of these epic political battles. The studio lights blazed hot on the Fox News set as Pete Hegseth adjusted his red tie, that familiar smirk spreading across his face. He'd been waiting for this moment, a chance to take down Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, the 43-year-old rising star from Texas, who'd been making waves with her fiery speeches and fearless challenges to the Republican establishment. Tonight, filling in on the Ingram angle, he was determined to put her in her place. Behind the scenes, Fox producers were buzzing. They'd booked Crockett intentionally, knowing Hegseth would go after her hard. They expected another viral clip, one of those Fox moments where the host dismantles a Democratic guest for the network's loyal viewers. But there was something the Fox team didn't understand about their guest. Jasmine Crockett wasn't there to defend herself. She was there to fight. For weeks, her communications team had prepared for this exact situation. They studied Hegseth's previous interviews, mapped out his favorite attacks, and rehearsed counter-moves that could turn his aggression back against him. A former civil rights attorney, Crockett had faced hostile judges, aggressive prosecutors, and arrogant opponents far scarier than a TV host with a superiority complex. She wasn't nervous, she was focused. Her phone buzzed with a text from her chief of staff. "Remember, he'll try to rattle you early. Stay calm. Let him overextend, then strike." Crockett smiled. She'd been underestimated her entire life. Tonight she would show America what happens when someone makes that mistake. In the green room, she reviewed her notes one last time. The reflection in the mirror wasn't just a congresswoman, it was a fighter. A woman who had worked for every inch of progress she'd ever made. Tonight wasn't just about defending herself. It was about standing up for everyone who'd ever been talked down to by someone mistaking privilege for intelligence. The stage was set for a collision that would be talked about for years. Who they were, Jasmine Crockett wasn't your typical politician. Born and raised in St. Louis, she worked her way through law school, became a civil rights attorney, and shocked the Texas establishment by winning a congressional seat most thought was unwinnable. At 43, she was young, brilliant, and unafraid to call out hypocrisy wherever she saw it. She'd gone viral before, from her sharp takedown of Marjorie Taylor Greene to her passionate speeches on voting rights, but her success wasn't luck. Crockett studied media like a battlefield. She knew that in modern politics, one televised moment could define a career. Her philosophy was simple. Never let an attack go unanswered, and always be ready to turn the tables. Meanwhile, Pete Hegseth embodied everything she opposed. A 44-year-old Fox News host, former National Guard officer, and master of smug interruptions, Hegseth built his career on outrage and confrontation. For years, he'd dominated debates against unprepared guests. But that arrogance would be his downfall. The interview begins. The theme music for the Ingram angle faded. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett from Texas. Hegseth began, smiling. "I have to say, I'm surprised you agreed to come on. Most Democrats seem to be hiding these days." Crockett didn't flinch. "Thank you for having me, Pete. And no, Democrats don't hide from the truth." A subtle hit. The audience felt it. "Well, let's talk about truth," he said, shuffling papers dramatically. "You've been critical of President Trump's cabinet picks. But isn't it interesting that someone with your limited experience thinks she can judge the qualifications of people who've actually served their country?" That phrase, limited experience, hung in the air. Crockett smiled faintly. "My limited experience? You mean my law degree, my years as a civil rights attorney, or my position as an elected representative of the people of Texas? Which part of that do you find limiting, Pete?" The air tightened. Hegseth's grin faltered. He doubled down. "Come on, Congresswoman. You've been in Congress, what, 2 years? Before that, you were just a local attorney in Texas. Meanwhile, you're criticizing decorated veterans. Don't you think that's presumptuous?" Crockett replied evenly. Being a local attorney in Texas meant representing people who couldn't afford fancy lawyers. "But I'm curious, Pete. What did you do before becoming a television host? That was the trap, Hegseth smirked. I served my country. I deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan while you were filing paperwork in Dallas. Even conservative viewers winced. Crockett stayed composed. I respect your service, Pete. But let's be honest. Serving your country doesn't give you the right to insult people who serve it differently. The uniform doesn't make you honorable. The actions you take after do. Silence. It was surgical, calm, direct, and devastating. Come on, Congresswoman, he laughed nervously. You sound like you're attacking veterans. Not at all, she replied. I'm attacking hypocrisy. There's a difference. The tension in the studio was electric. Behind the scenes, a producer whispered, she's owning him. Hegseth tried to regain control. Well, you and your Democratic friends seem more interested in playing the victim than fixing anything. Playing the victim? Crockett echoed. Pete, I represent a district where families work 3 jobs to afford rent, where kids share textbooks, where hospitals are closing because of policies made by people who think like you. Those aren't victims. Those are survivors. Another hit, he fired back. Maybe it's because your solutions are about dependency instead of responsibility. Crockett didn't miss a beat. Dependency? You mean like billion-dollar corporations depending on government bailouts? Or politicians depending on donations from those same corporations? Because from where I stand, that looks a lot more like dependency than someone trying to feed their kids. Boom. The viral moment. Hegseth's frustration was visible now. You're very confident, he sneered, for someone whose career seems built on victimhood. You talk a big game about justice, but what have you actually done besides complain? Crockett looked straight into the camera. Calm. Clear. I don't complain, Pete. I expose people who profit from pretending to care. 12 words. And silence followed. Pure, unbroken silence. Even the crew stopped moving. The control room whispered. Hegseth stumbled through the rest of the show. Crockett stayed poised, calm, powerful, untouchable. When the cameras cut, she simply removed her earpiece, stood up, and walked out. No victory pose. No gloating. Just quiet confidence. The fallout by morning, the clip dominated every major platform. Talk shows replayed it. Newspapers analyzed it. The New York Times called it a generational shift in political communication. Even conservative veterans admitted. You can disagree with her politics, but you can't deny she handled it better than 99% of politicians ever could. Pete Hegseth's sponsors began pulling out. His rumored defense secretary nomination was quietly shelved. Fox called it a personal break. Insiders called it damage control. Meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett said nothing. No interviews, no statements, just one post, a 12-second clip, then black screen. We can't control how they attack us, but we can control how we respond. 5 million views. One message, grace is power. Within weeks, her popularity soared. Donations flooded in. Even debate teams began studying her technique. Professors called it a masterclass in calm dominance. And as one political strategist said on PBS, she didn't just win a debate. She changed the tone of political defense. Calm isn't weakness, it's power. Months later, The Atlantic put her on the cover with the headline, "The Voice That Wouldn't Back Down." The legacy Jasmine Crockett reminded America that strength isn't measured by how loud you yell, but by how calm you stay when the world tries to silence you. She didn't just silence a critic. She shifted the culture, and it all started with 12 words spoken calmly, clearly, and without fear.